you know the text and know the contents of a text is very important so you can dig into the text and be able to describe it. It would be the same if somebody would tell me to describe the latest dance move. Well, if a young person described the youngest dance move, they would only describe it as the time they knew it from. An older person would say, you renamed it, but it used to be called this. So the older person could do the dance just as well as the young person. The young person may have more energy, but the older person knows the steps because they've done it before. And that's one thing I love about God. When we read the Bible and God is showing us these steps, and we may be the ones who are reading it, well, there's been people who've been studying these steps for years, upon years, upon years. I may not be as fast as I used to be, but I still know he's a healer. I still know he's a deliverer. Still knows he's a way maker. I think of the time when, I remember the time when I first got saved, and I say this and then I go into what I'm teaching. I remember I was working at this job, and I had gotten saved and had been saved for maybe 6 or 8 months. First, really new into the family of Christ and new into the kingdom. And I didn't think, because all they told me was everything gonna be all right. And I seen people shout, and I seen people wave their hands, and I seen people. Now you gotta understand, my background comes from being in the streets, selling drugs, making money, or doing something, different, having parties, getting high, doing all this stuff. So when I get saved, everybody only could tell me everything gonna be all right. Everything gonna be all right. And then they be telling me about Jesus. They be saying about Jesus. Jesus is all you need. And I says, okay. And so, but there were things that I didn't know that God had allowed me to go through before I got saved. That when I got saved, God wanted me to bring what I knew and the concepts. He didn't take them away. He says, when you get saved, when I save you, they are for times like these. So God began to show me my thinking, for instance. I remember the church would be like, everything gonna be all right. Everything. And so I'm paying my tithes, I'm doing everything right. And I get fired from the job. I get fired from a job. And I remember I got fired because they lied on me. So we went and prayed. We got the saints, they prayed, they laid hands on me. They shouted, we prayed. I still got fired. And I didn't understand God. I did not understand God. And I didn't understand it, and I was like, man, this money ain't no good. I'm working right here. And no sooner than I had gotten fired, I was walking around the road, and this lady rode around the road, and her name was Deb. And she says, I ain't gonna be waiting on you all week. Are you coming to put your application in on this job? I done got you a job. And so I had lost one job, and I was feeling bad, but God had already set me up with another job. And I was like, wow. And if I didn't lose the job that I had lost, I wouldn't have had a desk job. I moved up, got a better job, got a desk and everything, you know what I'm saying? And made more money. And I was thinking, I said to myself, then what I call faith is when they call saying, oh man, something big happened. It's not new to me now. It's the same move, same steps, same belief system, that you're going to go through some things. But if you learn how to trust him, you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to be, and then this what kills me right here, Cobb. Now this what kills me. When I first got saved, this would they would have us out witnessing, right? They would say, if you would die, would you go to heaven? And be scared me half to death. That's what they were doing to me. And I think that's a good point at that particular time. But now we have a generation that we must show them that God is with you in the long game. God is with you all down the road. You're not going to be perfect overnight. You just got to get the seed in you, and you got to learn to grow. You got to learn how it is to grow. My expectations for you are not for where you are today. They are for what I see you doing in the future. And what you're trying to do is battle a day devil when he's scared of your future. And I quit fighting day devils. I started saying, devil, if you're going to fight me, you're going to fight me for what I see, because I see beyond my day. And I tap into what God shows me now. And I think about that because we have young people, we have old people, and then what we preach, we got to understand that they may not see it like we see it. We could be preaching an old gospel, same gospel, but we preach it to a new generation, and the new generation won't get it because they saying, I'm not fighting that devil. But you're still fighting the same devil. It's still the same steps. You got to have the blood of Jesus. You got to be saved. You got to know that you're a child of God. You got to go through all those things, and you got to have it, but you got to understand the steps of the righteous are ordered by the Lord. And then we got to teach people purpose, because I didn't understand what purpose was. I knew what it was to be saved, but I didn't know why God saved me. And I'll be honest with you, the only reason I got saved because I didn't want to go to hell, and I knew somebody was going to end up killing me in them streets, or I was going to kill somebody and spend 20 years in jail, or 25, and different things like that. And when I found out years later that there were more in the relationship with God, that God says, just get in a relationship with me, and I teach you along the way, and I teach you that they wasn't lying to you, they wasn't wrong, that I'm with you. And I learned stuff like that all things will work together for good to those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. I heard that when I was younger, but then I learned how he does it. I learned how my history, my future is God's history. He's been there already. He's done it. And so I started thinking, I say, how can I preach this word tonight to make someone who maybe didn't know God, maybe searching for something, and God, how can I explain to them where they are in life? Here we go. All right. There is a story in Esther 4. I want to go to the book of Esther, chapter 4, verse 12. I think I want to start right there. Now, before I read, it says this. It says, and they told to Mordecai Esther's words. Now, go to the next verse. Verse 13 says this. And Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. All right, let me set up the backdrop of what I'm talking about right now. You have a young lady who has a lot of potential. A young, beautiful lady. A young lady who has the world in front of her. Has did it in a contest. Her cousin put her in. And she has been chosen by the king, and he loves her. He has been chosen, she has been chosen, and so she overcame the rough start. Isn't it amazing that some of us have had a rough start in life? Some bad things have happened, and all of a sudden God gives us a blessing, and she has to come up. By the way, this is the only book you can read in the Bible that doesn't mention God. But you see him move more powerful than a lot of other books. And so what happens is Mordecai and Esther is having a conversation. And you got to understand why they're having a conversation. And I'm going to get to why they're having a conversation. But they're having a conversation because Mordecai is at the gate. Esther is in the palace. Esther has been 9 years removed from her spot that Mordecai could get to her. So 4 years of preparation and 5 years of being a queen, 5 years being in a place where she has been called Queen Esther. She went from peasant Esther to Queen Esther. She went from being broke to being rich overnight. She went from living a nightmare to living her dream. She went to being forever happy forever after from being where I don't know where my next meal is going to come from. She has went from being the back of the welfare line to the front of the palace. She has went from being a nobody named her, walked past her, until she has went to somebody's wife, the princess. Isn't it amazing that you're one move away from God changing your whole life around? Just one move that God gonna change some stuff around. And the reason I know that God is gonna change it around is because you have to be at a place where you don't see an out, that you didn't see God moving, that you don't know God is moving. You have to be at a place where you can't see it. And so now she's 5 years of being a queen, but she can't tell nobody. So 5 years of living like a princess, a queen, but can't tell nobody who you really are. Esther is Esther is the Persian name that they give her. Her name is Hadassah, and her real name, she could never answer the real, her could never answer. So every time they call her queen, though it's a great title, it's a bitter reminder. What happens when you have a great title, but a bitter secret? And so she can't tell nobody. She can't tell nobody. And so what happens is this. In chapter 1, and you see it in chapter 2, she gets the contest, she gets the preparation, she goes through the thing for 4 years, and then she gets to 4 years, and then 5 years she's been queen. And then in chapter 3, you hear where Haman goes to Xerxes and tell him that, man, we want to sign a decree because there are some people who don't recognize you and they are not good for you. And the king takes his ring off his finger and gives it to this man who wants to kill the Jews. But nobody knows that Esther is a Jew. No one understands that the very person you're telling the king you want to kill is his wife. There are some plans to kill you and destroy your life, and the people don't know when they're saying, I hate these type of people, they really hate you because you can't be. Have you ever been around somebody, just for 1 second, that you really know you're not yourself? You're in love, but you're not yourself. And people can be in love, and this is what kills relationships. That I can contest to it. That if you catch me while I don't know me, and when God reveals me to me, then the me I'm fitting to be is the me I was already, but the me you had was the one that I didn't really want to be in the first place. Be careful when you talk to people who finna go through their metamorphosis and they're getting ready to transform and something is happening. And this is how you know that they're going through a metamorphosis season. The things that they used to do, they don't feel like they make them fun no more. The things that used to make them happy, it don't make them happy no more. And the things that used to make them laugh, they don't laugh about it no more because they are in a place that God is really saying, I'm calling you, but I'm not calling you by the name everybody else is calling you. And I want you to get this in your spirit. Esther was a queen, but that wasn't her calling. Esther was queen. What happens when what looks good to others is not God's purpose in your life? What happens when God's purpose in your life is that he used queen, the title and the position, as a move he's going to make greater because you're a deliverer. You're really not a queen in God's eyes. And God says, I'm bringing deliverance to a people through you. And then Mordecai understood that. And he says, now listen, it's time now, Esther. It's time. So in verse 3, in chapter 3, Mordecai had heard about this. And this is the problem that I had with chapter 3. When people don't really study the text, that they had signed a decree that they would give you money to kill a Jew. That you could reach out and you wouldn't go to jail. You get about $10,000 to go kill one of them. And Mordecai heard it. And so he knew when that decree was going to be signed that people were going to be able to walk up, kill him, and nothing be said. Matter of fact, you get a reward from the king's treasure for killing a Jew. And so Haman had set it up. Say, we're going to put a bounty on all these Jews. We're going to put a day. It's like the movie Purge. This day right here going to come, and we get to purge out all of the people. We get to kill them. And Mordecai heard it, and he rent his clothes. clothes. And he began to be upset. And he began to say, we got to make a move, because now is the time that God, we need you to move. Now is the time. And he's not praying to God, but he's talking to Esther and says, this is why God has put this girl here, because now on the outside it looks gloom, but we have an inside connection. 5 years she have been where nobody knew her. 5 years she had been where nothing is going good for her, nothing is going bad for her. She's just a queen. She's summoned, she goes. She's not summoned, she stays where she at. She got nice clothes, she got nice cars, she got everything, but she's not fulfilling her purpose. I don't care how good you look, until you fulfill the purpose in which God has you on this earth, you will be here as a shell, as a shadow shell. No matter how good things are on your job, if it's not your purpose, God will let the job lay you off so you can go do whatever God called you to do. When you begin to tap into your purpose, God begins to tell you, now this is why I saved you. This is why they didn't have the abortion. This is why you didn't die when you got high. This is why they couldn't poison you when they were trying to put something in your drink. This is why when you did all the things that you did that everybody gonna judge you for, I didn't judge you. I kept you alive because I knew I was gonna need you. And so the things that happened to you, they look bad, but they was doable and fixable. And if I wouldn't have let them happen to you if I didn't think I could fix you, but because he's God, he let you go through some Mark and Mara Clay, but he brung you out. Anybody in the church say, I've been through the bottom, I've been broke, I about lost everything, but I know God had a plan for my life. I've been divorced, but God still had a plan. And so I was thinking about this thing right here. It says Mordecai, when he's talking to Esther, go to verse 14, it says this, he's talking to her, and he says, if you all together hold your peace, if you all together hold your peace at this time, we gonna die. But if you hold your peace because you thinking you good, and you at a good place, and ain't no harm gonna come to you, there shall be, and then shall an enlargement of deliverance arise to the Jews from somewhere else, from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knows whether thou have come to the kingdom for such a time as this. Who knows, after everything you've been through, this is your time. Who knows that after you've been broke, you've been disgusted, you've been thinking that God knew he put you at a place that you answer your calling. Who knows? Now listen, for 5 years, 5 years, 5 years is a long time to have a secret identity. I was thinking about how some of us are getting discouraged because it's been 5 years since we tried to start being grown. 5 years because we've been on this job for 5 years and ain't nothing happened. 5 years I've been paying my tithes and I don't see nothing. 5 years. Anybody ever went through a season that it seems like it's a long season? There's no growth in my life. 5 years I've been going through some things. But let me show you this right here. This is what they ought to tell you. There is a tree called the Chinese bamboo tree that they plant this seed in the ground. The Chinese bamboo tree. Watch this. The Chinese bamboo tree, it spends 5 years. They take a seed and they put it in the ground. For 5 years, a guy goes and water it. A guy goes and the sun hits it. A guy's put fertilizer and it doesn't ever grow. For 5 years, there's no sign of there is a tree in the ground. 5 years, there is no sign of life. 5 years, there is no sign that it would ever amount to anything. 5 years, it just looked like somebody is wasting time. 5 years, I want you to understand that you are the Chinese bamboo tree this afternoon, this evening, that it's been like that God has planted you in a place and ain't nothing around you happening. Nobody can see you doing better, but you can't even see yourself doing better and everything for 5 years, this tree. But at the fifth year, at the fifth year underground without any growth, at the fifth year after being, Sister Thompson, 5 years saved, and there's no growth in your life. But the fifth year, Somebody say the fifth, the number of grace. The fifth year, the number that God says that he done this, and right here, he finished everything on the fifth day. And the sixth day, he planted man and what he had finished in 5 days. And on the seventh day, he rested. On the fifth year, watch this. The fifth year, it grows over 8 feet tall. It grows over 8 feet tall, and it grows over 8 feet tall in 5 weeks. I want you to understand that you've been going through something, and it looks like you've been in a place for 5 years that you couldn't really be yourself. 5 years that nobody know the real you. 5 years you didn't even know yourself. But when God begins to fertilize the water and put sun in your life, and it looks like no growth. I wish I had a witness in here that it looks like I'm going through the motions of life, Pastor. But yo, listen to this. And it says this. It says it grows 80 feet tall. Have a little patience in life. Your success might just be right around the corner. Who knows why God allowed you to be where you are, go through where you at. I came to tell the devil, yeah, you're beating them up right now. Yeah, my children are going through some stuff. And yeah, they're struggling at the age they at. But be patient, my children, right now. Because God is finna do some stuff, and success is right around the corner. And somebody needs to tell you that I know that God has a plan for your life, and God has let you live. That's why the graveyard doesn't have a tombstone with your name on it, because God has got you in a place where he is watering you. He is taking his time with you, and don't nobody see who you are, and nobody can tell you that they knew you were going to be a teacher like you are today when you was in Mickey Cobb's house, or I was in Cloverdale selling dope. Nobody could see it when we were growing up in Cloverdale that I would be preaching and you would be here. But God had a plan for my life, and when I was in sin and I was on crack and I sold crack and I drunk every day and I smoked weed every day, he still loved me. I was still in his plan, and he says we can't die, because for times such as these, he was going to need a word. He was going to preach a word, and I couldn't let him die without saying what I wanted him to say. And I want somebody to get in their mind, if death could have took you, it would have took you. If failure could have killed you, it would have killed you. If being broke would have killed you, you've been broke before. I've been sick before. I've been locked up before. I've been an addict before. But I've never seen the righteous forsaken and his seed beg bread. Somebody say, I feel like I'm in my 5th year right now. I feel like I'm in that year right now where I went through a 6 months or a 5-month period that ain't nothing went my way. I've been through 5 days, and at the end of the week, I don't know who I'm talking to, but there are some Chinese bamboo trees in here that God has been watering, and God has been blessing, and God is saying to you when nobody else seeing it, I know why I keep blessing you, and I know why I keep doing it, because you have an assignment. Somebody say, my assignment is bigger than my current place. Oh, I say, my current place and my assignment do not match up. But what God has for me, see, you got to start looking beyond your circumstances right now. You got to start telling somebody and saying, listen, you're going to ride or die, because I'm going somewhere right now. I can't stay here because I feel me. Oh, my God, who am I talking to? I feel myself going higher. I feel myself. I'm too talented to stay broke. I'm too talented to be miserable. So what happened is, can anybody relate to that seed of the Chinese bamboo tree that spends 5 years? Anybody who's going through something right now, read this every day and say, you know what? I might be in the watering stage. I might be in the stage where it's just dark all around my life. But one thing about that tree, it doesn't care about its surrounding. It just know that the time and a season that it will rise. I want you to understand, I'm telling somebody right now, just like Esther was placed in the palace was the ground that nobody could see who she really was, a Jew. But the palace was hiding her. And for 5 years, Mordecai watched God water her. He watched God bless her. He watched God move. And he watched God does this. 5 years he watched. Everybody was talking about, look at that outfit the queen got on. But Mordecai was looking and said, she's still not herself. She's still not herself. I wish I had a witness in here that I've been going through some beautiful places, but it's not where I really want to be. That's not where I'm ordained to be. I've been around some great people, but I'm not ordained to stay around. Why? Because God has something for me. Now, in the text, go back to the text. Anybody can relate to that Chinese bamboo tree? Well, before I go further in the text, let me tell you that Henry Ford failed 5 times trying to open up his car lot. 5 times trying to make a car. 5 times he failed. 5 years miserably, and all of a sudden on that 6th year, in the middle of that 5th year, guess what? He began to produce cars. Somebody say, I'm in a producing season right now. I'm in a season right now that some stuff is finna come my way. I'm in a season right now. You don't see it, I don't see it, but God knows it. And God, I love you, I love you. And it says, God, if you hold your peace, God will bring up another deliverer. Now listen to this. He didn't say God would bring up a queen. He didn't say God would bring up another cousin. He says, if you hold your peace, another deliverer will arise for the Jews from another place. If at the place you are at right now, that you love the place more than the purpose, then God will rise up somebody who understands purpose more than the place. Because you can be moved out of your place, but God gives you purpose. And when you answer purpose, place becomes secondary. Lord, have mercy. Somebody say, I'm finna fulfill my purpose. 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 And now I'm finna now God's provision and providence. Now provision is that I give you what you need for your journey. He didn't give her money. He gave her Mordecai who had a word. Now watch this. In verse 5, go to chapter 5 for a minute. And if we look at chapter 5, 11 through 14, just for a second, and I'll paraphrase for it. He's trying to get Esther to understand it's time for you. And so Haman now, in verse 11, is really saying, told him, he's bragging, he's talking about the glory and the riches to his children, all the things what the king has promoted him to, and how he been advanced above everybody who served the king. Now, if you outside looking in, it look like your enemy is on the upswing. And the enemy is at home sitting at the kitchen table saying, you know what? Baby, let me tell you something. I done got a promotion. I done got all this stuff, go to verse 12, and he's even talking about Esther. He says, hey, let me tell you something. And Haman said, moreover, Esther the queen did not let a man come in with the king until the banquet she had prepared by herself on tomorrow. She invited only me and the king really invited right here. Be careful what you're trying to get into, because it's a setup. When some people don't invite you somewhere, be happy. I tell people this all the time. This is what people don't say. They say, did you get invited to the baby shower? I said, no, don't invite me down. Because I'm a man. I don't go to baby showers. I'm not a 2021 type dude. I don't go to them things. You know what I'm saying? I'm just old school like that. And so, but I always, this is how I get out of it. When people tell me this, Carl, I say, well, I ain't got to buy no present. Did they invite you to they having a get-together for such and such? Okay. And they said they turn in this age. I said, oh, no, they didn't invite me. They say, maybe they did not. You want me to call? I said, no, my pocket going to be better, because I don't feel obligated to go buy you nothing. So this guy right here is in life bragging about his promotion, and it looks outside looking in. He doesn't see the bamboo tree, which is Esther, growing. He doesn't have his eye on the bamboo tree, but it's getting ready to sprout, and it's getting ready to make a move. Now, when I look at this text, you know, it's very important that you understand that in chapter 5, the plot is setting up. That in chapter 5, if you read the story, that Mordecai and Esther have had their words. Mordecai has really told her, you see these people trying to kill us. Now they hear on the outside that this guy getting a promotion, the very guy who wanting to kill you. You're trying to tell Esther, you need to go ahead in and talk to the king. The Esther that we know about is this right here. I'm in a fearful place needing to operate off faith. Why? Because the king ain't summoned me for 30 days, and I can't go in there unless he called me. No matter how beautiful the place is, it's danger in beauty. And so I'm at a beautiful place, and I'm scared. I told somebody this today. Where I'm at in life, all the moves that God have me making right now are scary to me. Now, they're good on paper, they're beautiful, but they're scary. Every move that I'm making right now challenges my faith. And my fear now is an indicator that I move beyond my normal. If you're at a place right now and you're not feeling fear, or you're saying, I don't know what the outcome, that's just God pushing you outside of your comfort zone and pushing you into somewhere where your fear got to be activated. And I want you to understand this now. She got to operate off, because that she's been operating off beauty but not faith. And so now she's got to operate out faith, and beauty ain't got nothing to do with it, because there's a protocol. And if she don't operate on the protocol, no matter how beautiful she is, ask Vesta. Because Vesta was beautiful and she messed up, and guess what? She got put out. Now you got to be in the palace thinking about this, that now this woman got put out, and I ain't been here but 5 years. I ain't want to lose my spot. Mordecai is on your ear and talking about, if you don't act right, God going to raise somebody else up without saying God. And now she's got to think about this, so she puts her plan together. She puts her plan together. Now all together, her plan is this right here. And now, so Esther went in there, and the first time she went to talk to the king, listen, she changed her mind. She didn't say what she was on her mind. Have you ever been wanting to tell somebody the truth, and then you got in there and the words didn't come out quite like you wanted them to say, and you got tied tongue and everything happened, and you say, never mind, let me get back with you. So the king had to ask her again, okay, tell me now. She done watched Haman get promoted. Everybody in the palace know about Haman being promoted. Everybody know about the hater being promoted. Everybody know about the person. Isn't it amazing sometimes when your hater get blessed, everybody to come back and tell you how good they look, how blessed they was? It's crazy to me. But what you got to do is understand this, that if God allowed the hater to be blessed, then you, that bamboo tree who not blessed yet, your turn is coming. You just keep your idea. You got to know that I have a turn coming, and I'm telling somebody. So in chapter 5, you understand that the banquet has been set. Esther's trying to put together a plot. Now Mordecai won't bow. Now after this guy get this ring, let me show you this crazy right here. After Haman gets his ring, he goes down, and everybody is bowing to Haman. And Mordecai like, I ain't bowing. I ain't bowing. And he gets mad. He get mad and he go home, Sister Thompson, and talk about, I can't stand that Mordecai fella. That dude, you know, it is people who press your nerve. And Mordecai was like, I'm not bowing to him. I don't care who he think he is. I don't care about his promotion. I'm not going to bow to him because I know who I am. It may look like I'm a beggar, but I'm still that bamboo tree too. And God is finna promote me. And you've been looking at me as a beggar at the gate, and you're looking at me with sackcloth and ashes on me, but you don't know that God has set up a dream that's gonna come from heaven, and the king gonna have a dream, and all of a sudden, when the day you supposed to kill me, that you're gonna have to bless me. I want you to understand that the very people who think they gonna kill you are the very people God finna reverse the curse and gonna bless you with, because in verse 6, somebody say, I'm one chapter away from turning things on my haters. I'm just one chapter away. In chapter 6, Lord have mercy. Chapter 6, and it says this right here. Chapter 6, on that night. Now listen, God, look at God working behind the scenes. Mordecai, they're going to kill you in the morning, but on that night, the king couldn't sleep. There are some promotive people, some people who have the power to bless you, can't sleep because you're on their mind. Lord have mercy. God is finna put you in the dream of somebody, Lord have mercy, that you don't even know dreaming about you. Now God controls dreams and visions. So the king, all of a sudden, nothing just happened. He happened to have a dream. Watch this. And he commanded that they bring the book of the Chronicles. And he says, I want you to read the book of the Chronicles about what's been happening in my life. Chronicles are historical facts or data that they have been keeping so the king can keep up with his history. And he says, just tell me about this last month or two I've had, the last week. And then they go to verse 2 and he says this. And he says, when all of a sudden, he just happened to turn to the right page and found a writing about Mordecai. Now, listen, he couldn't sleep and happened to find a book, and guess whose name was on it? Mordecai. And God was already moving and saying, if Esther ain't going to do it, Mordecai, I'm going to set you up and put you on the sideline. And I want you to know that Mordecai said, who knows who he going to set up? Didn't know he was going to set Mordecai up. And all of a sudden, the Mordecai was found in the book. And these two dudes were going to kill the king. And Mordecai told the king and saved the king's life. But Mordecai didn't get the blessing then. Be careful when you want recognition for something you done right away. Because God may put it on hold and put it on layaway blessing. And God has something that you should have got blessed years ago for. He said, but it ain't time yet. I'm going to put a dream in somebody who going to remember you. What's the chances? What's the chances of somebody knowing Nyla when she was a baby, saying, you know, I had a dream about you, and I need somebody who can run my business, my company, and help me do this, and I just happen to see you and think about you. Nothing just happened. If I run across your mind, God had to put me on your mind. If I run across your mind, it's not that people say that how could Mordecai end up in the book in a dream in the same night? The king couldn't sleep. He got a book. The book turned to the page that Mordecai's name was in there. And Mordecai said to his chamberlain, the keeper of the door, who sought to lay hands on the king. And you know, all these people there, he was talking about these people who sought the king. And he wanted to know about Mordecai. Go to verse 3. He says this right here. He says, and the king says, what honor? What did we do for Mordecai for doing this? What did we do for the man who saved my life? There's nothing done for him. We ain't done nothing. Now, if this king can have a dream, turn to the right book, the right chapter, and the time you need it in your life, then I serve a King of Kings, a Lord of Lords, and the Bible says, my witness is in heaven and my record is on high, that there is a book that only the Lamb can open up that is in heaven, and he's going to turn to the right page at the right time and see this little, oh my God, who am I talking to? If this king had a dream, nobody but God could set this up right here. And so now the king has a dream. He says, what honor have we gave to Mordecai? And then the king's servant and that ministered to him said, nothing has been done. Somebody say, ain't nothing been done for me yet. Lord have mercy. Like I know you've done good for a lot of people, but God is keeping a tally on your services. Just because it ain't came and manifested yet, you in the book right here. I want somebody to get that in their spirit. God has you on record right now, and if he'd have blessed you too soon, his plan wouldn't have worked. But God has a plan. Somebody say, my name is in the book. 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 And then so verse 4 says this right here. Verse 4 says, and the king says, who is it in the court? Haman was coming on the outer court of the house to speak to the king, to hang. Now, he on his way to hang Mordecai, the one who the king just had a dream about. And I say, God, you're cutting it close. But God says it's never close when it's my plan. And I want you to understand, it looks like you running out of time when you finna run into a blessing. And it looks like the very person who's about to kill you is finna be the very person who is about to bless you. I wish I had a witness in here. Don't look like you running out of time. You finna run into a miracle right now. I'm not running out of time. I'm running into faith. I'm running into favor. I'm running into a breakthrough. So the king is on that. Haman is coming from the outer court into the house. He's speaking to the king about finna hang Mordecai on the gallows. Had prepared the gallows that he had prepared, 11-foot long cord. He had prepared. He coming to the king the very next day after the king has had a dream. And he says, who the first person walk up? And then verse 5 says, the king's servant says unto him, behold, Haman, standing in the court. And the king said, let him come in. Let him come in. Isn't it amazing that God has me on his mind at the right time and right when my haters think they're going to kill me, that very thing, they open their mouth and they got to bless me. That's why I love the story of Balak. When Balak says, I can't curse what God has already blessed. I came to tell the saints when you're operating in a divine favor and providence that you can't be cursed, because every time they open their mouth to curse you, they're going to bless you. Every time they look like they're hating on you, it's just promoting you. Who am I talking to right now in the name of Jesus? Give me some glory, God. God, we give you the glory. Give me a praise in the church if you believe that God should get the glory for setting up your life for times such as these. Verse 6 says this, I feel it in my spirit. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done to the man? The king delighteth to honor. Haman thought it was him. Somebody say, you thought it was you. It's me. It's me. Your hater think they finna get the blessing. God is looking at you, Cobb. You one move away right now. God is, oh my God, he's told me to tell you for times such as these. Right now, the very person who hating on you finna bring your blessing. So, and now Haman thought in his heart, to whom the king delighted in honor was himself. He walked in there with his head on high. Verse 7 right here comes with this thing. That's why you have to read the whole text. You just can't stop in times such as these, because it ain't all about Esther. It's about Mordecai. Some of us are stuck at the gate. Some of us are at the gate right now. We ain't got the clothes to get in, because see, he couldn't go inside of the court because he had sackcloth and ashes, and you couldn't enter into the royal palace looking any kind of way. And so Mordecai ain't got an invitation in, but a blessing is going to come out to find him. I want you to understand that where you can't get into, your blessing will come out and find you. Somebody say, God is sending some stuff for me. God is sending some stuff for me. And Haman answered the king, and for the man whom the king delighteth to honor, that God has got something for you right now. I wish I had about 5-second praise break in here, that God is talking about me, that I can't get into some of these places. I ain't got no college education. I ain't got no degree. I ain't got $1 million, but the blessing is still coming to find me. And they say, who can we bless? Oh, Lord, have mercy. Y'all act like we having church in here tonight. Go to verse 8, go to verse 8, go to verse 8. He said, let a royal apparel be brought, which the king used to wear, and the horse that the king used to ride, and a crown be set on his head. Let me get all the king stuff. I want you to understand that God is finna set you up. You was on the outside looking in, and God is finna change your attire. Somebody say, my outfit, my ride is finna change. My outfit is finna change. My finances is finna change. 3 changes in this right here. I'm going to get what the king used to use. I'm going to get his ride. Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm going to get his clothes. And that's why Paul say, I'm putting the things which are behind me, but I press forth to the mark of the high calling. For I have a crown laid up. And what I'm trying to understand, when the crown was on his head, he said, I'm going to put the thinking of the king in your head right now. I'm going to put how the king act in your head. I'm going to let you act different, talk different, look different, ride different. Somebody say it's too many differences, but I'm going to ride it all the way out. I'm going to ride this different train right now. And so now the blessing is pronounced over him by his hater. Oh, have mercy. Y'all missed that. It's good that they're talking about you, because the more they talk about you, it's watering the bamboo tree. Lord have mercy. And if they would have kept their mouth shut, you wouldn't have been able to come out of the ground. But because they kept naming you and releasing your name into the atmosphere, it kept Lord have mercy. Because they hating on you. Because they tried to keep you down. Because they tried to make you a dope addict. And you know how people are. They get you high, and then when you can't afford to be high with them, they talk about you like, hey, come the bum. Hey, come the freeloader. Hey, come all this. But when God let them talk about you and you done heard and it got back to you, somebody say, I wanted to get back to me. Because when it get back to they're pronouncing a blessing on you. They really freeing you to be who God wants you to be. Verse 9 says this. Go to verse 9. I got to get out of this because I'm trying to go into 7. Amen. It says this right here. It says this. And they got the apparel and the horse to be delivered into the hands of the one, the king, most noble prince. That they might what? Array the man. Dress the man with all whom the king delighteth to honor, and bring him on horseback through the streets of the cities, proclaiming before him, thus shall be done to the man that the king delighteth in. He says, I want y'all to march him through the street on my stuff. I want y'all to have a parade for him. There is a parade being set up for you, and you don't even know it yet. There are some things being laid up for you, and you ain't even got the memo that they finna bless you right now. There are some things that God is setting up. Now, we thought it was about Esther, but Mordecai done had to come up too now, because Mordecai, anytime you can set somebody else up to be blessed, God will exalt you. Anytime you can bless somebody else, God will bless you. And this is what I love about the text. Verse 10 says this, and verse 10 says this, and then the king said unto Haman, make haste. Take the apparel, the horse, that I have said, everything that has come out of your mouth, and do it to Mordecai. Go bless the one you finna kill. Wait a minute, God. I want somebody to get this. Don't be so angry at your haters that you can't receive the blessing God gonna make them bring you. Oh my God. Don't be so, because the ones who have said the most finna lead your parade. Lord have mercy. Oh man, this right here is saying this. And so he said, get in a hurry, Haman. Put the apparel of the horse that thou hast said, and do everything so to Mordecai, the Jew. Now the king know he's a Jew. He just don't know he married to a Jew. So now he says to the Jew that sitteth at the king's gate. He said, I even know where he at. But his position has just changed. I want you to understand that there's been a divine shift behind the scenes getting ready to take place in somebody's life. There is a divine conversation and shift that you are not even, oh my God, who am I talking to right now? You've been stuck at the gate. He said, no, everything I've spoken, you better not let nothing fail. My word can't fall to the ground is what he's saying. Everything the king says have to happen. Somebody says, got to happen. If I hear this word tonight, Pastor, it's got to happen. If I'm getting where I'm at, it's got to happen. It's got to happen. Mic up, Londa. Get ready, Mike. It's got to happen. Somebody says, it's got to happen. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. And then so I'm looking at this thing, and verse 11 says this. And so verse 11 says, and they took Haman, the apparel and the horse, and the array to Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the streets of the city, proclaiming before him, thus it shall be done to the man who the king delights in honor. I went home and told my wife them I getting a promotion, and now I'm rocking through the street with the man who I was supposed to hang. And I can imagine Mordecai saying, hey, you're going too fast. Slow your roll on my parade, big dog. Let me straighten my crown up. Make sure my Mercedes is clean, or my Lexus, whatever it is that I'm driving in right now. I want you to understand that God has something, hidden treasures, hid right now, that can only be released by haters. Lord have mercy. There are some things that God says, the way you know you're close to your blessing is what people start talking about you. Verse 12 says this, and I get ready to close. It says that Mordecai came. He came. Mordecai came again to the king's gate. But Haman what? Haste to his what? House, mourning, and having his what? head covered. He said, man, this right here didn't go right. I want you to understand, how can I go home and tell my wife the people I was going to kill now I work for? I want you to understand that you finna go from the back of the bus to the front of the bus. You finna be from where everybody says you're most likely to fail in life, that God has a plan on your life. This is what I tell all young people. It's right here. Don't count yourself out because 5 weeks went bad in your life. Don't count yourself out because you got to start over 5 or 6 times. Remember the bamboo tree. Remember the bamboo tree. Remember the tree that you just in a watering stage and you got to keep telling yourself greater is coming, greater is coming. You wake up in the morning, you look at it and say, this is a day that God has made. He watered me today. I ain't sprouting up right now, but I'm coming up right now. My mind is changing right now. Is anybody getting this word there right now? That right now you was here for times such as these. That's why God said, don't preach this message. Matter of fact, I wasn't going to preach this tonight. I wasn't even supposed to be here tonight preaching it. But because God wanted me to be here tonight, that God says, I got some people who going to be on air in the church tonight who going to need to know about your little Chinese bamboo story, because right now I am pouring something on them and the ground can't hold them down. And then when I bring them up, they're going to grow quicker in 5 weeks than in 5. Oh my God. I'm going to make up worth 5 years in 5 weeks. What I'm trying to tell somebody is Mordecai is moving up in the world. And Mordecai is moving up. Now go to 7 and 3. 7 and 3 says this, Esther 7 and 3, and I get ready to close. That right now, 7 and 3, that Esther, the queen, answered and said, if I have found. Now Esther is sitting. Look at God switching. God got the banquet going. God got Mordecai at the gate sitting out there with a new ride, a new outfit on, but he still is a Jew. And God says, now Esther, it's your time. And Esther went out there and she was in the court. And when the king seen Esther in the court, because anybody who come to the king out of season and the king didn't do that, they would be dead. But when the king seen his beautiful wife, when he seen her out of place in the place that she was not supposed to be, she was out of place in the palace that she couldn't be herself in the first place, the king says, what you want, Esther? And Esther walks in and said, if I have found favor in your sight, if I have found favor in your sight, O king, if it pleases thee, king, let the life be given unto me at my petition, and my people at my request. Verse 4 says this. Verse 4 says, we are sold. Now he like, now I know Mordecai, but I don't know who you are. We are sold. We are beat up. We've been sold out. And my people to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if thou be sold a bondsman or a bondswoman, I have held my tongue. All the enemy could not what? Unveil the king's damage. I've been going through so much, and I couldn't tell nobody that being with you is good, but my purpose is better. I couldn't tell you that it ain't you, it's me. I can't tell you that it ain't that we are not meant to be together. What I'm telling you is I hear something calling me, and I got to speak out, and if I don't say what I need to say, King, gonna go crazy. Verse 5 says, king, I need to talk to you. Xerxes, the king, said unto Esther, who is it? Where is he? Who is it and where is he that want to mess with my woman? Who is it that broke your heart? Who is it that tried to put you on drugs? Who is it that touched you and say they love you and then didn't love you? Show me where they are. I'm going to free you from them. Show me the people that told you you wasn't going to be nobody. Show me the hands that hurt you as a child. Show me the job that laid you off. Where they at? Who are they? Verse 6 says this, and Esther said, the adversary of the enemy is this wicked Haman. This Haman. This is the guy who marched who marched my cousin through the street. This is Haman. This is Haman who who right now. And this is the dude who I've been hiding from my true identity from. This is the dude right now. And you know why I'm trying to get my life together, God, and nobody really understands me. I get high, and getting high ain't fun no more. I get drunk, and it don't even make me feel the way drunk used to make me feel. And some of you people out there, y'all ain't never been here, but I'm going to preach the real thing tonight right now, that I tried to find love, and love wasn't never there. And I've been out here, but this person right here is trying to kill me, God. And verse 7 says this, and he got up from the banquet, and his wrath was so angry that he walked to a garden, because the king says, I got to walk to a beautiful place. Haman stood up at the request for his life. Now, he begging Esther, but he begging her in the wrong place. You got to make sure you're at the right place when you make your petition. And so he gets on her, and historians really say this, that there's a bed in the palace where the king sits, that there's a place where the queen sits, and Haman them fell on the bed. Go verse 8. The king returns out of the palace garden into the palace banquet with wine, and Haman fell upon the bed whereupon Esther was. He's really begging for his life, but he's in the wrong place begging. The king doesn't worry about what Esther says at this time. He sees the man in the bed with his beautiful wife. Lord have mercy. And he can't think about what Esther say right now. He's thinking about, Mordecai, you trying to push up on me. And the king then said, the king, you going to force the queen also before me in my house? As the words went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. Go to chapter 8, and I close with this right here. They're getting ready to kill Haman. Haman is dying. Haman is getting ready. Stop right there. I'm stopping. Haman is in death row right now. 8:1 and 2. Just go to 8:1 and 2. On that day, Xerxes gave the house of Haman and the Jews' enemy, unto Esther, the queen. Historians believe that they have a problem with this book because it says Esther didn't show mercy, and God is a God of mercy. But the reason historians are wrong is because they have a problem with, number one, God is not mentioned, but God is seen all through the book. But they had a thing, isn't it amazing that they want to cry mercy when the Jews got the upper hand? But they weren't going to cry mercy. Isn't it amazing when you down, everybody step on you. When you broke, everybody ride past you. When you busted, everybody, you the joke at the party. You ain't invited. But when you get that come up, if you don't learn nothing else from Pastor Tate in life, if you don't leave nothing else, I've been broke, but I've been on top. I've been the big man in the street. I've been the dope head in the street. I've been the big man in the club. I've been the broke one in the club. I've been the one that they pick up, the person they ride past. But is it amazing? When you down, don't nobody cry mercy. But when the shoe's on the other foot, they want to say stuff like, don't forget where you come from. I grew up with you when you was down and all this. You know, I used to get back with you, you know what I'm saying? No. I want to forget you. And I do want to forget you. Why? Because you forgot me first. And if you really want to know the text and the power of the text, God had set this up when Samuel had went to Saul and says, I told you to kill the Amalekites, and you didn't destroy them, and you kept them, and that spirit has been hindering my people from year after year after year. And God says, I hate the Amalekite. And he says, I'm going to use an orphan girl to destroy the very thing. Be careful who you try to talk about. Be careful who you snur your nose up with. Be careful who tell you you're nobody. Verse 2 says this, and we close and get ready to bring our worship up. the king took off his ring. He took off the ring. Now, he done gave the man a car. He done gave him an outfit. He done gave him a crown. Now he said, hey, Haman, let me get that ring back. Where you going? You don't need no gold. The ring was a signet of power that he could put his mark on, and it would be as if the king had said it. He gave it to Mordecai, and Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. The king had just reversed the curse in somebody's life. And I want you to understand, God is finna place you over what was over you. God is finna move you where you couldn't move yourself. This is what I'm talking about to the church right now. There are things happening behind the scene. And this is why I tell you, don't lose hope. Don't lose right now, because favor is working behind the scenes. And the purpose of God's favor is to bring you to times such as these. Give God a hand clap of praise. Let's go into worship. I hope somebody got a thought. Londa, after you get through singing, take them over to sinner's prayer. Pray for the congregation.
Grace loves me, but it's not what I deserve, and nothing that I've earned, but daily grace saves me. Oh, but for your grace, oh, but for your grace, oh, but for your grace, I'd be lost, but for your grace. God loves me, adores me, watches over me. You are for me. Grace love me, and is not what I deserve, and nothing that I've earned, but daily grace saves me. Say, oh, but for your grace. Say, oh, keeps me. I'm clothed. I'm mighty grateful. I'm mighty grateful. I didn't deserve it, but it's mine, oh mine. Yes, I'm mighty grateful. Yes, I'm mighty grateful. It belongs to me. Yes, it belongs to me. Oh, your grace has saved me. Yes, and it keeps me. And it keeps me. The unmerited favor, the grace of the Lord. Yes, I'd be lost, but for your grace. I would be lost, but for your grace. Come on and give him glory in this house tonight. Lift it up, raise him up, give him the glory, for he deserves all the glory and the honor, but for his grace. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We thank you on tonight for joining us, and we know that we cannot have that grace and be clothed in that grace without knowing Jesus as our personal Savior. So if you don't know Jesus on tonight and you want to give your life to Christ, all you have to do is accept him in your heart by recognizing that you are a sinner, and without him, you are nothing. And if you believe that on today, if you receive it on today, then you are saved. Make sure you get in a church that can pour the word into you, because salvation is the first step. But all you have to do is allow God to pour into you, and you'll see his divine providence in your life. He'll show up in times when you don't even know it. Be blessed on tonight. Join us again on Sunday morning beginning at 8:30 if you can come in and pray, and at 9:15 if you like to get more of the word, and then at 10:30 if you know that you are in need of something from God. Thank you for joining us, and be blessed.